In the bottom right, folks, in the red, he is for Dragon Phoenix Game and the odds-on favorite. It's Dark. His opponent in the upper left here on Babylon in the blue, looking very strong in his run. It is Classic. Okay, that's not working. Sad. Here, apparently I've lost connection on my stuff because my Ethernet cable got disconnected on the second PC. Anyways, that's not going to work. Whatever. That's a head-to-head, though. In Legacy, the Void Dark is 31-8 versus Classic. Well, you know what? We can hope. A man can dream. Let's see what happens here. Classic, his micro was pretty suspect in the first game of, or in that last series. Yes, he did beat Su 2-0, but he ate far more disruptor battles than he really should have in a game where if he eats only half of those, maybe he probably just wins the game straight up instead of having to go up into Tempest and playing that really awkward setup and really playing a game that beats a Su. It doesn't beat Dark. He plays that same game against Dark, even with 36 workers advantage, or 36 workers killed by 7 minutes, and Dark smashes him. So I'm really hoping that we see Classic really tune things up a little bit more going into this series, because otherwise it's not going to be as significant of a stomping as Hellraiser versus Dark, but it's not going to be pretty. So Classic, for this part, he does open up with a Stargate. He is going, at least leaning into that standard Protoss style. You get Stargate, you get a couple oracles, and then you figure out what you're gonna do. Whether it's gonna be Charged Light Archon, whether it's gonna be Blink Stalker, whether it's gonna be something else entirely. I don't know. But for now, Stargate is on the way. Gate or Warp Gate as well, and Lings are gonna find their way into a natural, which is a nice little bit of timing here coming in from Dark. It generally is a Zerg because Protoss do not like to wall off super early. You can get a couple Lings, and you can get that 3-minute scout. And the Ling is going to show up in the main base. It's going to see how much gas are there. It's going to try to get a probe, and will be unsuccessful. But hey, it saw that there's a Stargate, and that is probably the most important thing that he will be able to see over the course of the first 4 minutes. Yes, this is a Stargate opener. It's not a Twilight. It's not some weird sort of robo opener, maybe. It is exactly what it is. Let's see exactly where Classic goes from this. We're starting to pass the point where a lot of the hero builds, you want to go get a third basin. Okay, there we go. He's going to go a little bit later, but really not that big of a deal. Third base on the way is the Oracle #1. Floods his way onto the other side of the map. And Dark is one of these players that will sometimes flood a bunch of Lings and try to cancel the third base with Oracle. Gets a little bit of damage. 3 workers go down. And the Lings on the other side, well, you know what? There's no pylon for the Oracle or for the Adept to survive in, so it's going to find a little bit of a choke. Probe goes down, and the Oracle, though, the big deal, has to turn on its Pulsar Beam. Has to use its energy on Classic's side of the map, which means that Classic is not going to have quite as much pressure on Dark's side of the map. And yeah, he got a couple drones, but 3 workers are definitely within the bounds of being okay, especially considering the fact that Dark only has 1 spore. And Dark's going into melee behind this. Interesting. I guess that shouldn't surprise me. I mean, Classic is telegraphing this as, well, how Hero has been playing, but up until right now, because now here come Glaives. Now here comes this counter meta style. You go double Oracle. You go into Glaive Adepts behind that. And if Dark has, for some reason, never gotten a Roach War and he's going Ling, well, Bailing Nest is okay against this if you're able to get the connections, but if he was going like Ling Hydra or something, it would be a dicey time, to say the least. But his Bailing Nest is on the way. The Bailing Nest should complete right around the same time that Glaives are done. So if Dark is aware of this, and if he is able to morph Bailings in time, he should kind of be okay. But again, that is a lot of ifs. So more and more Lings are going to get made. Dark, I would expect to see him get a 4th. And Mac, oh, actually, you know what? This might just be a +1 Ling Bane all in. As I say that, decent dodge on the stasis. There we go. Dark does these Ling Bane all-ins to kill Protoss, you know, fairly often. It's weird. It doesn't feel like it's something that should happen, but it's a Queen Ling Bane walk. Except the Queens need to actually walk across the map. And they're not doing so just yet. That's because actually Dark has seen the fact that, yes, there are Adepts on the map here. There's a lot of them, and they're going to shade right on top of the Queens. +1 is not done. In fact, Queens are back on creep, so the Adepts will not complete that shade. Dark, a bit of a run by into the third base, and there's no shield battery here. +1 is done 12 seconds. Banelings are now just going to shadow the Banelings, and yeah, that morph gets canceled immediately. In fact, it's going to have to be a full recall here. The Adepts find their way back home, but +1 Lings. Well, now they're +1 Lings. They kill one Adept that's warping in. They get 8 workers, and Classic has to reset. He's not going to be able to find the damage he wants. The Stasis Trap in the third gets a little bit, but not a lot. And now here comes Dark, flooding in on the other side of the map. The Stasis Trap actually didn't get anything done. But okay, here come Banelings into natural. Immortal is going to be in the wall, and that means these Banelings are just going to try to kill as many Adepts as possible. Decent splits. Lings on the right side, they're going to find a little bit more. Banelings don't kill any of the Adepts just yet, but they get the shield battery. And that is what truly is important. Yes, there are splits, and Oracle's trying to do what it can. And you know what? Actually, this is not bad for Classic whatsoever. The splits are good. Not many workers have gone down. And I was thinking this was kind of iffy. But 26 more Lings are on the way. Dark now has his 4th base. He's starting to drone up behind this, but he needs more Banelings. And I don't really think he has all that many. He's only mining off of 2 gas. He doesn't even have a layer. So the fact that Classic has been able to hold on from this really, in the grand scheme of things, he's lost 14 probes. Not horrible. And Dark has to transition out. He's got Carapace on the way. Okay, that's nice. But there's no lair. Roach Warren is only just now getting started. The longevity of this army from Dark is starting to time out just a little bit. So he's setting up some multi-procs, right? Lings on the left side, Banelings on the right. And the Oracle's going to see that, though. So that's not going to get much of anything done. And by the time the next big timing comes from Dark, right? When Roaches are done, when the lair is done, we're going to have High Templar, as the Oracle's going to find the Banelings on the right side. We're going to have High Templar on the map. We're going to have Archons, maybe some Storm. And you can't help but feel that Dark has mortgaged his present for his future. It's going to be a much more difficult game for Dark from here on out. But folks, if there ever was a player that comes back from, worker disadvantages, income disadvantages, tech disadvantages on the regular, well, his name is Dark. And Dark did put himself into this situation, so we can assume Dark has at least some idea of how to work his way out of this situation. And that's going to be a nice little bit of surround from the Lings. A bunch of these Adepts will go down. And folks, Blink's not. This is a disaster for Classic. He's going to lose, well, maybe not the Immortal, but he's going to lose everything defending the Immortal here. Blink is not yet done. Lings are just killing off everything. And yes, the Immortal stays alive, but that was a lot of Classic's army that just hit the deck. And now Carapace is done in 10 seconds. Roach speed is on the way. Dark is building more Lings, more Roaches, building an infestation pit. Probably just for quick hive. I don't think this is a Swarmhost game. And I don't know that Classic can run across the map right now. Unlike most PvZs we've seen, this is not a game where the Protoss is ahead in upgrades. It has some significant 2-1 versus 1-0 type of timing. That is going to make this a little complicated. So now, +2 melee, +1 range on the way, Baneling speed halfway done. Dark is rounding out his tech just a little bit more. I mean, it was Ling Bane with +1 melee for the longest time. That's not a tech-heavy opening. But Dark has his 4th base. He has his macro hatch because this is what Dark does. And realistically, Ling-heavy builds against Protoss tend to go for that macro hatch. The Scarlet 50-50, you get your 4th and your macro hatch at the same time. That's just part of the build. And Dark is approaching max out. And okay, I said I didn't think it was going to go Swarmhost, because Storm was already done. The gateway count is 8 gates. I mean, it's not massive, but it's not insignificant. It felt like, this was not going to work out super well, but Dark has 15 Swarmhosts on the way, and he's going to have a really powerful first timing. Baneling's now morphing in. He's got these, everything has Carapace, so they die a little bit slower. And this max out from Dark, it is going to be powerful. But Classic is already past that inflection point where normally it's kind of where you want to be. 150 supply-ish is when the Protoss starts to be comfortable against a bunch of Swarmhosts. So Dark's going to have to do magic with what is happening here. And first Storm will whiff. There are still 3, 4, 5 where that came from. And now, okay, the swarmhosts have been revelated with... Well, actually, that's a pretty fancy skin. But here come the locusts. And Dark, though he's out of position here, the locusts are going to go down even before the army of Dark is ready. And now this locusts, well, they're going to land piecemeal. Dark doesn't get anything out of this. And now he's sitting on, what, 45, 52 supply of swarmhosts that are not really what he wants, that are not all that incredible as a fighting unit, as Plastic is just about maxed out. Swarms are going to go down, and Dark is not splitting incredibly against it. A lot of the banelings will fall. That being said, the baneling run by into the third base. Classic loses a lot of his economy right now, but this pressure coming in from Classic is what you got to be afraid of. Spines on the high ground here. Locusts are going to be ready right now. It's a bit of a perfect timing for Dark, but the question is whether that perfect timing is even going to be enough. The Locusts now carpet bombing on the army on the right side. Storms, though, they're going to knock out most of them, and now the Spines are dead. More and more Storms are landing. Classic just dropping the weather phenomena here, and Dark is going to lose his base. I did not like the Swarmhost build idea when it happened. I definitely don't like it now because Classic's going to get a base. Classic supply is not really going down all that much. He saved some High Templar against the Banelings, and now, well, one more shot. But again, 45 of this army supply is not ready. Storms continue to land. Banelings, well, okay, they will knock down all but I think one of the High Templar. There's one other, but it doesn't have any energy. It's not relevant. And now here we go. Last Storm has been dropped. It's all about the gateway units now as the Locusts are going to land on top of the Archon. Now it's a bunch of Blink Stalkers against a bunch of +2 or 2-1 Speedlings. This is a much better fight for Dark to take right now, and that's maybe going to be something. Locusts are not really going to be able to join the fray. In fact, Dark's just going to give the base up. Despite everything, he's got to give the base up. Here he's lost 2 bases right now, only on 4 hatcheries. And maybe his timing is going to be when Adrenal finishes, but I don't know that Classic is going to give him that time. Feels like Dark maybe has one more fight left in him. Is that Oracle canceling a bunch of Ravagers? That is, oh, that's not really what you want. So now Dark, long distance mining, north side of the map, something that Classic is roughly in position to handle, but really is not aware of just yet. And Classic's on 4 bases. He's up on workers on Dark here. And this is how unsuccessful Swarmhosts tend to go for the most part. It's the whole, well, you know, I just have more money, but okay, these are going to be some nice Locusts here. This looks like the Stasis Trap is not really going to get much of anything. They got nice around. There we go. That's just going to be a dead base. Yep, this happens if you're out of position. Dark starts to find, for the first time in this game, some value. But realistically, it's only a base. It does not get any of the workers. And that is kind of an important thing. Certainly now on Babylon, it's a pretty short map. Classic takes the opportunity to run across the map now, realizing that the Locusts can't fight for another 20-odd seconds. So Dark desperately needs to find some way to keep his opponent back. Ling run by on the, what is that, the 5th base of Classic, on the 4th base as well. Dark will not get the base, but hey, these are cracklings. They have +2. They effectively have +5. They can kill Ling, or they can kill Stalkers pretty well. And Classic is not really up to date on this idea, on the double forge builds, it looks like, not for the most part. So he's only single forge. He does not have armor. This army is powerful, but not tanky. That being said, again, Dark has been forced into just spending his Locusts to try to stay alive in a game where he needs to do more with them. The Locusts are going to try to knock this base down, but they've just too little left in their sad little lifespans. And now here comes Classic once again. Tons of Storms, an Archon, a couple of Mortals, and it's going to be a tricky fight for Dark. If he can get oh, okay, Biles will land. I mean, the Classic has been losing a lot to Biles here, and another couple more is going to fall down. Dark needs to surround, though. He needs Banelings coming from the backside, getting on top of the High Templar, and if you can't find that one, it's going to be real significant pain. Banelings do start to connect, and another mineral line has gone down. The Locusts are going to get dropped, trapping an Archon. Dark loses 22 workers. Looks like a Zealot run by finds its way... Oh, yeah, find its way into the 3rd base. And actually, this seems like Dark is just going to lose this base. So, Dark holds on, kind of. He does commensurate damage to Classic, and he's making the game chaos, which is exactly what Dark wants to do. But I don't know that he's going to really be able to take this fight outside of the base. Swarmhosts are just not ready. Stalkers playing on top of them, start to knock them down. But 24 more workers. Actually, I'm sorry. Classic, that was the damage he took earlier. Biles are going to land on, well, on Archon. Just about that, and Dark taps out. Stormhost play against this, it just doesn't feel very good. Classic, he takes game 1. In the upper right, folks, in the red, he's down a game in the series. It's Dark. In the bottom left, in the blue, he's up 1-0, holding on against the Swarmhost play. It's Classic. Okay, so now we're moving into game number 2. And we saw Classic, of course. He went for Warpgate in game 1, and then he's been going for this, or not Warpgate, excuse me, Stargate. And he's going to do that in game 2. I mean, that's just the standard. And then he went for this delayed adept timing. That's, well, it was kind of weird, right? Because Dark was going for that Ling Bane all in. Really nice splits there on the third base, so was able to get the surround, was able to, or really nice splits by Classic on the third base, so it didn't get quite as much damage done as he would have liked. And again, it's Classic. A 6-minute glaives is not even out of Stargate. It's just not really a thing. So he's been able to find some level of damage. It was honestly very much a counter meta game number 1, where Dark went for an all in, didn't get much damage done. Went for Swarmhost behind it, and he hit too late. That really has been the case of that game number 1. And the game we saw from Sue versus Classic in the semifinals, where you go, Swarmhost can be powerful against this greedy, well, again, Classic's style is very different. We don't see a lot of this, but the greedy styles of going 6 gas robo out of the Stargate opener, you just don't tend to have enough units on the ground. But if you go for a Ling Bane all in beforehand and you take maybe some damage from Adepts, it what's the word? English is hard. It means that your Swarmhosts are just not ready in time. So let's see what happens here. A Dark going for a very quick lair here in this game number 2. And it's off of 1 gas. So we've actually seen Dark play around with Ling Queen Nidus a little bit in EPT Cups. And remember, folks, the other thing we have to pay attention to here, Classic is, I mean, both players are playing in IEM Katowice in about a week and a half, which means that, what's the word? Which means that they're not going to be showing their strongest stuff. If Dark has a really fancy proxy hatch or something, if Classic is able to go and some other fancy build, they're not going to be showing their biggest stuff. Not here when their potential competitors. Classic very specifically is playing a Zerg in the first round, is playing Scarlet. They're going to be playing some things that they may not throw out at Katowice. You got to take everything here, again, as close as we are, with a grain of salt, as the Oracles are going to dive in. A couple workers will fall, 3 in total. But losing about 3 workers, I mean, yes, this was a slightly higher commitment to static defense in game 2. But there we go. Yeah, it's going to be Ling Queen Nidus coming out from Dark in the second game. Bunch of gateways coming up from Classic here as he takes his third. And the key thing about where he puts those gateways, by the way, this is a wide open, this is a massive main base, which is actually, you know, pretty good for the other races against Zerg in some ways because it's hard to get the scout. But on the flip side, it means Nidus play can be it can be very powerful. And Ancient Cistern is not the only map like this. So for now, Dark is kind of sharking around outside of the main base. And there we go. Now, okay, it's going to be at the front. This is, I don't know. I don't know that this is nearly as much break potential because there's a full wall, and it's not like there are Roaches, Ravagers, or Banelings or something that would knock through. So instead, I think what this kind of does here is the Lings or the Queens will start to arrive what this does. And there we go. Oh, Nidus behind the wall. That's going to be really nice. Lings get a full surround on all the ground units outside of the base. Adepts and Zealots fall pretty quickly here. Yeah, you know, maybe they're not Stalkers, but even still, the Stalker has fallen. It walled off the Zealots and the Natural, so much of the ground army here coming in from Classic goes down almost immediately. The creep starts to move forward, and the singular warping of a Zealot is not going to be enough to keep Dark out of this position. But even still, I mean, look, Dark has to get more damage done here as the Lings find their way into the Natural. Probes are now going to get pulled. You got to buy time for the shield batteries here, Classic, and they're going to be ready right now. But already the Lings are on top of things. Shield batteries, though, doing a great job of keeping the Zealot alive, allowing it to just eat the aggro and make the fight happen in some way. But the Oracles, they're starting to fall. Classic is buying time for a Colossus of all things. And there we go, though. Lings find their way into the main base. There's going to be a second Nidus. The shield batteries are out of energy. We don't have an overcharge just yet, because there's no energy, at least in the Natural, maybe elsewhere as well. Pylon will go down. Dark, well, he pulls the wool over Classic's eyes. He hits with the Link Queen Nidus from the front. Who does that? But he does it from the front, and Dark ties the series up 1-1. In the upper left, folks, in the red. He took game number 2 on a Link Queen Nidus in the front of the base. It's Dark. In the bottom right, in the blue. He took game 1, fell in the second, though. It's Classic. Kind of interesting. We've seen Dark start to mess around with trying to dodge the probe block. By kind of putting the drone off to the side, or something like that, and then, well, waiting for the probe to go on the main base, then taking the Natural to the Natural, and on this map in particular. But it seems like he's giving that up for right now, which, I mean, is kind of potato. Yes, it is more efficient, even with a delay, to take the Natural in your Natural, because you don't lose mining time from the drones transferring from the main base to the third. Even still, doesn't really matter that much. And for the most part, Zerg builds have kind of been built around that, as well, Classic's trying to be a bit obnoxious. But remember, folks, the probe harass is the probe mining annoyance is a little bit more volatile than it used to be. As yes, you have to make sure you mine properly, but if you run through a mineral line, if something goes a little weird, your probe dies almost instantaneously because of the move. Like, effectively, workers can move and shoot. Hey, Jinjin, thanks so much for the tip. I don't know if there was a message attached. I'm gonna have to go check Stream Elements, because for some reason it just didn't show up in the overlay, or if it did, it didn't make a sound, and I didn't see. But yeah, once again, it will be Stargate play coming out from Classic in this game. I don't think that should surprise anyone. Ah, yes. You're most welcome for casting those games. I am so excited to go to Katowice. I'm so lucky that Basilisk is... I mean, I'm going to be doing the B stream from, I don't know, a bed, like a spare office somewhere. But I'll be in Katowice, and I'll be producing... you should make sure to keep an eye on Basilisk's Twitter and their YouTube channel and some other stuff. I'm not totally sure exactly where they're going to disseminate everything, but I'm going to be talking to people in the crowd. We're going to be getting behind the scenes footage that I'm allowed to get, crowd footage. I'll be doing my best to make it feel like, to give you access to what it's like to actually be in Katowice, as far as I can. That being said, we got to talk about this game, because Dark is going for a very quick Roach Warren here in this game number 3. That's 320, 330. If you want to go and you want to be defensive, you get your Roach Warren at 4 minutes. If you want to be if you want to be overly defensive against a lot of builds, you get your Roach Warren at like 354 minutes. Otherwise, you get it at 430 to 5. So I'm curious to see what Dark is going for here. He does not have a lair on the way. This is not for a Roach Nidus. Lings are going to scout that there is no third base on the triangular position, but, well, Classic's taking it in the linear one, and Dark's going to figure that one out fairly soon. Did Dark think that... Okay, no, Roaches are on the way. Interesting, but he's droning behind this as well. Interesting opening coming in from Dark. don't know what he's going for here. Could just be kind of some off-meta play, but remember, folks, this is a Stargate opener. It's 2 Oracles, 2 Adepts. The Roaches are not super useful in any way, shape, or form. So the Oracles, they're going to show up on the north, well, right around the natural, but the Spore is not yet done, so probes have, or drones have to get pulled away, but the Queens will start to arrive. Even still, 2-3 workers will fall. There is a Spore in the third, but it's not well placed, so the drones, they're going to have to run away, and 4 workers will hit the deck. Oh, Spore unburrows, reburrows here. This is a bit awkward. 5 workers go down, maybe even a little bit more. Queens on the high ground, though. Spore gets the Oracle. Okay. So Oracle falls, 6 workers have gone down, and it's just a weird little Roach Sling push. This is kind of cool. So this is just very counter to how Classic has been playing with these heavy Adept styles. So the Roaches, the Lings, they run across. They kill the Adepts in the third. They kill the pylon. And the Roaches are just going to continue to, they're going to continue to tango here. There's a Void Ray on the way, an Immortal getting added. But as the Roaches slowly come across, I mean, they're just coming in 1 by 1, 2 by 2. The Zealots don't do anything. The Adepts don't do much of anything. It's all about the Stalkers. And you got to feel that this third base will fall. Now, Oracle cancels both Ravagers because it takes forever to kill them off as Lings find their way into the natural, folks. There's no shield battery. So it's just this kind of bit of an awkward anti-meta timing that is, it may not kill Classic, but it is going to get a lot of damage done. Third base still under heavy threat. It probably will go down. Drones or probes are starting to die in the natural. And yes, the Void Ray has arrived. And shield battery is done. So that should be the end of that one, as the Ravager's now getting morphed in front of everything. Dark, this has been nerfed. You can't do this. You're going to lose all your Roaches. Feels like he probably needs to cancel these. Yeah, they will get out. Surprisingly enough, Bile is not going to get the Void Ray. Now the Roaches, they're going to have to run away, but Dark gets the third. And there is no lair, of course, but Dark does get the third. And that's something. What a weird build. What a weird build. But now Classic just finds himself a little bit behind. He's down 5 workers. His Blink is on the way. He doesn't have a third base. But the Void Ray on the other side, I mean, it does have some level of promise. Let's see if it can get anything done. But I mean, the queen count is high. It's 4 queens. It's actually not super incredibly high. But I mean, there are spores, there are queens. The creep is between the natural and the third. So what Classic is going to be looking for here is some way to go and start to knock down, like, to start to get an Oracle into the natural, Dark or Void Ray in the third. Is the Bile? The Bile hit that. Okay. Oracle now does fall and the Void Ray arrives, but now there's only one attack factor that Dark has to deal with. It's the natural, so he's going to put queens there, and it's going to be fine. And he's going for a Swarmhost play once again. What is it with Swarmhost plays all of a sudden? Like, I don't think Swarmhost suddenly got good because of the patch. Maybe is it a meta? Is it a tempo play? Like, in this game, I don't hate it, of course, because, well, Classic took a ton of damage. He's not going to be developing himself nearly in the same way he did in game number 1. But even still, like, Sue did it. Raynor 3-0'd Showtime 2 weeks ago on the balance patch, and then he did it again in a big brain bout, and that didn't work nearly as well. Like, this one's gonna be Nidus. There's a little more. I mean, Swarmhost plays all in anyways, but this one's gonna be Nidus, so maybe a little different. But like, what is it with Swarmhost play? Is it because you're worried about the upgrades? I don't know. I need to ask someone about this. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's going to be good this game, of course, because Classic is, he's taken so much damage. But I'm just talking about like the general trend of things. So, Swarmhost just about done. Nidus pops up on the left side, and this is an attempt to snipe a base, really. There we go. That's the Swarmhost going to pop out. Locust now dropped, and if Classic is not going to be allowed to have his third base for this long, it's pain. But hey, Storm is done, so that's going to be something here. And well, Locusts do get split, but still, two Storms do go down, so they get no damage. And this was not the type of Roach, Ravager, Swarmhost type of play, which is what we normally see, right? When you get 10 to 15 Swarmhosts, you hit with the Roaches, and it's just a lot of, you know, Locust trade very well, a lot of other stuff. Now it seems like Dark's going to go for that one. He drops Nidus on the right side, but the border finds it immediately, and now into the middle of the map he goes. But Classic supply is starting to increase. He's got +1 now. He has Storm. He's got, well, no Archons just yet, but he's going to morph those when he needs to. This army from Classic is not bad at all anymore, and, well, Roach Speed's not even done, so you can't split super well. Biles land once again, and that has been kind of a story that Classic has been selling us, that he eats Biles that he shouldn't. But now there's a Nidus in the main base. The Voidary will find it, though. Maybe just a little bit too little, too late. Is anything going to pop out of this one? No, Locust at the front. Storms are going to land on top of them, though. Stalker's got to blink back. They take some damage. One Immortal will fall. And the shield battery overcharge at the third base is going to try to keep things alive, but it's at the front of things. So it's not going to last all that long. Classic takes some damage, but again, the Nidus in the main base, it doesn't get up. So Dark is going these unidirectional, these one-dimensional attacks. He's just not finding the value he wants. Classic is able to get up to 100, 150, 160 supply pretty easily. That Storm's going to be pretty nice. Gets a, well, actually doesn't get any damage on the Locust. I thought it was, but it softens up everything, and now Storms go down on top of the Locust here. They got to run forward. Most of them are just starting to fall, and the Roaches, they take some juicy Storms as well. So here we go again. Dark tries to find his way in. The Storms force him back, and, you know, Classic's, he's not at 150 supply anymore, right? He does get traded out. But now there's this opportunity where the supplies, they do not. Well, in fact, the supplies do line. Dark is just about maxed out, but what are we at? How many Swarmhosts? 16. 52 of his army supply doesn't matter. And that means that army supplies in the fights when the Swarmhosts are not playing are even. In fact, it even is Classic favored because Dark can't remax as easily. So here come the Locusts on the left side. Are there any Storms for that one? Classic's going to wait for them all to land, or at least as many as possible before he drops them. But that's going to be an Archon just marooned on the left side. And as much as you talk about, you know, I kind of like this position, well, the Locusts are going to force everything out. And Classic seems primed to lose his third base once again. But again, the Swarmhosts are done. The Locusts are gone. So Dark has to run away, but he does get 11 workers this time. He does start to find some level of value, and the Nidus on the right side is going to hopefully do a little bit more. Classic's got to do something now. If he was able to keep his economy alive, it would have been fine, but losing the economy is a problem. Even still, loose Storms are fantastic. And here comes Classic. He's just chasing things away. Hydras are joining the fray, but I mean, Hydras versus Storms is not great whatsoever. So I think that was, what, a couple High Templar? Yeah, five High Templar went down. That was maybe not as good as I thought, and you can't build anymore here. Classic, the last two, those High Templar, those last two that you warped in, the last you're going to have in this game. But it is only going to be a Templar Archives. It is only going to be a gateway that goes down from that Nidus, and now here comes Classic onto the other side of the map. He has a decent amount of Storms. His +2 is done. And there we go. Yeah, Nidus in the main base gets dealt with as well. So at this point, it does feel like Classic has to run across the map. Ooh, that's massive there. A couple, well, actually only 4 Locusts or 5 Locusts will go and commit themselves onto the map here. So the good majority of the flock, of the swarm, there we go, is going to show up in the main base. So Nidus goes up in the main base as well. And Classic is just giving up his main base at this point. He's going all in, but the problem is he's just a little bit too late because we have we have 11 lurkers on the field. Lurker range is done right now. Classic's main base is starting to get eaten from the inside out. Slowly eviscerated. He's not really mining from it. He's supply blocked. He has one powerful army, but even now, we're past the point where, okay, it's, yeah, 52 supply of Swarmhosts. The supplies are somewhat equal and the Swarmhosts aren't fighting. This is so many lurkers here in a concave that I don't... The only way Classic is going to get unsupply blocked right now is because he loses his army to the lurkers. I don't see a way that he ever really fights this. He doesn't have the tech for it. Swarmhosts in the main base. Third base is going to go down. And Dark has played a slow and steady position. Classic tries to set up a concave. Fairies Immortals on the right side. But remember, Classic cannot reinforce anymore. His gateways are starting to fall down. And Dark, he makes Swarmhost happen. But remember, he was very far ahead to make this happen. Anyways, it's a 2-1 lead for Dark. In the bottom right, folks, in the red. He's up 2-1 in this series, and he made Swarmhost work, so make anything happen. It's Dark. And his opponent in the upper left in the blue looking for a game 5. Classic. What does Classic have in store for us? And by the way, interesting. Win chance is about the same as it was previously, which is, I expected Dark being up 2-1 to really skew things, but I guess when it's like, it's 90-10. Well, okay, now it's 92-8. You know, like there's not a ton of difference there, to be totally honest. But yeah, we have. What am I'm talking about how I don't think this is gonna, Swarmhost is not a thing, whatever. No. Chat's putting me right. This is the consequence of the Zerg Cabal. They have buffed Zerg to the point where even Swarmhost work. We're going to ignore the fact that Dark got insanely far ahead off of his oddball. I'm gonna build a couple lings and some roaches, and I'm gonna kill your third because you've been too greedy and you've done the same build like 5 games in a row. Nothing about that. So again, it's going to be Stargate play from Classic, but as I've been saying in different ways, this is just how Protoss open. I think especially now on the new patch, just because of how shield batteries have been changed, early game stuff has been changed. I think we're going to see even less Twilight play for 2 reasons. First of all, shield battery has been nerfed, or shield battery overcharge specifically has been nerfed, and some other things have changed. The other reason is the fact that Max Pax is not going to Katowice. And Max Pax is like the king of Glaive Adept play. He does it more than anyone else in the West. At the very, I can't speak to Korea as much. I have a good pulse on how Hero plays. And I guess Nightmare to a lesser extent, but I don't cast Classic versus Protoss enough to really have a good idea. So anyways, okay. This is different, though. I'm talking about how a Stargate opener is just standard. We're going to see Classic go for a Void Ray here in this game number 4, and this could mean one of several things. Void Rays, generally you get them to knock down Overlords on the map. I notice Classic this is so cool. So Classic is already scouting out where the Overlord is. He's going to track it across the map, because we know the Overlord into the main base, that is going to go down. I mean, there's just no saving that. But Classic wants to make sure he gets the second one. And there we go. Yeah, the Adepts tracks it down. In fact, Classic is going to kill the one on the map first before the one on the main base goes down. Just wants to guarantee that kill. And that means Dark is going to lose 2 Overlords. It means he's going to be not supply blocked, but supply capped for just a little bit longer. He's got to build an extra Overlord or 2, which is never what you want. And behind this, did he? Okay, no, the Oracle is out, and that's going to get scouted. So it doesn't really deny much scouting, but it does deny follow-up scouting. Not that seeing a Twilight after this would surprise anyone. The question, though, is what is he going to do with it? Is it going to be Glaives again? It didn't really work out for him all that well last time. Is it going to be Blink? Is he going to play something more standard? I don't know. But Oracle now dives into the main base. And remember, folks, we don't expect this Oracle to get that much damage. Oh, okay. We are on 4 gas, Robo. This might be... yeah, okay. It's going to be for the Glaives timing again. Classic's just doing the same thing. And, well, okay. Oh, that's going to be not a Master Stasis Trap after all. Dark gets out in time. And, well, the Oracle takes a little bit of damage, but enough to really matter. And I don't know how I feel about this, right? Dark is going. He's getting a Bailey Nest. His queens are already in position. They're going to get the Oracle here. Well placed by Dark. He knocks down pretty much all of Classic's map control on Dark's side of the map, which means now Dark can kind of do what he wants. But Glaives are halfway done. +1 melee, of course, will not finish up in time for this. The Bailey Nest should, though. And Dark is doing what he did in game number 1, give or take. Very similar idea. He's getting his 4th base a little faster this time. He's going to get that macro hatch already on the way. But he's going to flood lings off of this. It's It's not quite the 50-50, right? He has built more drones, but he's building a lot of lings. Baneling Nest will complete in time, and so long, I don't think this is going to work out super well. Dark again gets the scout, pulls the lings back pretty far, and we should start to see Banelings morph in. But Dark actually doesn't have the gas right now. That's a problem. He's only morphing in 3 Banes at the moment. Adepts are going to shade forward. 1 Adept will fall here at the start as the Adepts, they scout forward. They're going to find the Banelings, and they're going to commit on top of them. They're going to try to kill them off before they're ready, and they're going to get 1. They're going to get 2. They're going to get the 3rd. And yes, they're not going to kill more than that, but they get a lot of these lings. They shade their way into the natural. And I don't know that was the move for Classic, but it was a ballsy as hell one. He's going to start to kill, well, at least some workers in this main base. It's going to be 4 or 5 workers. Adepts find their way into the 3rd. And Dark, he's got it. He relies on Ling Bane to make this happen. These lings do not have +1 just yet. Dark is starting to get, take some significant damage. 8 workers have gone down. He's lost the Spore in the main. And he's losing a lot of lings. This is interesting. I do think, well, actually, I think Classic wants to get a little bit more done, but he's already gotten a significant amount of damage done here, although he's not really shift targeting the workers in the mineral line, so that does cause some level of problem. 58 lings, although it's 20 Adepts. As much as I'm talking about how good this is for Classic, he's lost 20 Adepts here. And that is somewhat significant. Dark is redroning pretty hard. He's on 5 hatch. Considering this was 20 Adepts for this, actually more than that. 21 Adepts. I don't think Classic has done enough, actually. So for now, the Adepts, they're going to deny more mining here. Dark on the right side. He's not going to be able to mine out of his 4th base for a moment. But the question is, what can Classic do out of this? Already he's adding in a High Templar. He's gonna have a lot of energy for storms, but he doesn't have blink. That's not on the way. He doesn't have charge. It's gonna be an army that is reliant on, well, a lot of pressure. Classic shading in and just trying to maintain this tempo as much as possible, and then storms and maybe sentries, robo units, immortals, things like that. And I mean, roaches are done, or Roachborn is done. Roaches are being made. Storms are good against everything that a Zerg has, but they're not quite as good against roaches as they are everything else. Lings are going to find us around on these High Templar that, well, they're going to find some roaches, so this is not, or on these Adepts, and it's not really going to get nearly as much done. But Dark still loses 6 drones elsewhere, so, from this perspective, Dark has lost only 19. Actually, I thought that was going to be a lot more. And again, I just don't think this is enough. Oh, cheeky Dark. He transfuses a drone. Love to see it. And what I think we're going to see here from Dark is just Roachling Ravager Bane. Roll across the map on your 5 hatches, maybe get a 6th. Get your creep spread across and start to try to break Classic's 3rd base, Classic's 4th. But remember, even as the space that Classic has taken is pretty developed on the map, it's not that easy. It's not super wide open. Now, there are chokes, and certainly with force fields and storm, it will be difficult for Dark to push in. But Dark he's up 30 army supply right now. His Baneling speed is done. His +2 is done. We're going to see a couple Banelings on the north side. Try to run probably into the 3rd base as he puts pressure on the left side. And I think that's going to be exactly what we see him do. Banelings, well, not just yet. Dark's getting ready for the counterattack. Or not for the counterattack even. Just he's getting ready for the run-bys. Banelings morphing on the left side, on the right side. Big pressure through the front. And the question now is whether Classic can actually defend 3 bases at once, because that's easier said than done, or 3 locations at once. So Storm's going to land here at the front to start. Banelings come morphing in on the north side, or running in on the north side. Let's see if Dark can find value in some location. We don't even have enough picture-in-picture for this, but there we go. Lings fire the way into 3rd base. Classic pulls back because he's got to deal with run-bys elsewhere. And you know what he does? He doesn't lose all that much, but he will, or all that much in his outlying bases, but he will lose this 4th base. 4th base, 14 probes have gone down. But still, there are plenty of High Templars, plenty of Storms, and Dark did spend dearly for that. So as much as I can say, hey, good job, Dark. You killed the 4th base of Classic. It does have to worry about the counterattack that Classic is potentially going to leverage right now with his +2 done, with a couple Archons, with Blink, with these 4 Immortals, with all of these Storms. It's not a simple army for Dark to fight, and he has not knocked the rocks down. Seems like Classic might do that for him, though. Because again, big run-by is getting ready here on the left side. There we go. Banelings are going to try to find their way in. Meanwhile, run by here. Army in the middle of the map from Classic not doing what it needs to do. So, oh, Classic's not responding here. He's going to lose 23, 24 workers. He's pushing at the front, though. And there we go. Yep, we expected Classic to do this, but it feels like a little bit too little too late. Dark only has to survive right now. It's 77 drones to 29. The storms, well, there are not too many of them, and they're zoning storms. They're not doing damage to the army just yet. Dark needs to wait for really needs to wait for one more production cycle. He's going to lose this base, and I think he's okay with that. Honestly, he's gotten enough damage done, especially as Banelings come in from the backside here, trying to get on top. The last storm has been spent, I think, and now it's just a couple Archons, some Immortals, some Stalkers. It's a powerful army, but all the splash damage is done. These +2 lings are surrounding everything, and Dark has more than enough at this point. 74 workers, 80 army supply. In fact, the Biles kill the Void Rays. That says everything we need to know. Dark, he takes the 3-1 victory here in the CPT Cup, and that is going to do it. Dark in one of the last tune-ups before he leaves for Poland. I don't know when he flies out, but last tune-ups before Poland. Takes a dominant 3-1 victory. And that'll do it, folks. CPT 160.